you will no doubt recall from your GCSE studies, but also from your kind of personal experiences, that strength is a fairly broad concept, and it kind of is an umbrella term for lots of different types of actions, whether really explosive or really repetitive. And before we go on to what might be some fairly tortuous definitions of 5 different types of strength, which I've tried to visualize and put in the form of images here, I want to get some conceptual understanding from you as to what the differences between these concepts actually is before we define them. So what I want to do is I want to draw in for you 2 continua. Okay, so 1 and 2. Perfectly straight, as you can tell. My never shaky hand always serves me. So what I want to do here is that this first of the 2 continua, this is going to be a continua of the rate of contraction. Okay, so this top one relates to the rate of contraction. Okay, so what we'd expect is that a type of strength or a form of strength display which has a very high rate of contraction is going to be up here, and a form of contraction or a type of strength which is going to have a very low rate of contraction or low contractile speed is going to be down here. So what are our 5 different types, and beyond that, where would they feature on this continuum? Well, first of all, the obvious thing. If we have something like a static strength, static by definition states that there's going to be no rate of contraction. There's going to be no movement within the contraction. So therefore, that's obviously going to be at the very low end. Another form of contraction which would go somewhere near that, and by the way, the distances between these are kind of arbitrary. They're not really significant of anything other than me fitting in my writing. But the second type of strength, which would be in the sort of the lower contractile rate, is something like maximum strength, max strength. We tend to find, in general terms, that our maximum strength is applied at lower levels of speed. There's obviously, therefore, a very close relationship between static and maximum strength. That's one of the key things I want you to kind of develop intuition about, is that these are summary terms. They're not discrete and distinct ideas or concepts. We might also expect that something like a strength endurance performance, because we are performing an endurance type repeated contraction, something like, I don't know, rowing in Olympic rowing, for example, or the example I've got down here is something like longer duration swimming, where you've got to repeat a number and a series of contractions. We might find the rate of contraction slightly higher than these, but still not at the high end. So what therefore would be at that high end? Well, the next point I want you to sort of be aware of is the notion of dynamic strength. Dynamic strength, which we'll actually write down the definition for in a little while. Dynamic strength is actually our ability to overcome resistance with a high speed of contraction. So it's got to be up towards this high